EA Games.
Challenge everything.
Ah yes, EA, also who we all know as Electronic Arts, have had some really good beef with the video game industry. They also already have a bad reputation from last year, for a lot of reasons, and that's what we're going to be talking about in today's topic, is the worst video game company in the United States of America. But what's up guys, it's Soul Phantom, and today we're going to be talking about Electronic Arts. Round of applause to the worst video game company in the United States! And before we get into this video, I know what you're thinking, well Phantom, hasn't everybody on this website already destroyed the evil mastermind EA? Well look, I get it, a ton of YouTubers have already made their video about EA, and well, now it's my turn to speak out my words, thoughts, and opinions on EA. So without further ado, let's begin.
Oh, you're a little bit of everything. You can be truth, or you can be lies.
For those who don't know the history of the company, it existed back on May 28th, 1982, and the same year was founded by a man named Trip Hawkins, in which they would be home to making computer games and so on, until the early 90s came around with this.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Yes, I know, EA Sports. Everybody already knows what this is, and I'm not going to go too much into detail with, you know, quote-unquote EA Sports, because it's unnecessary. But you get the idea of the company itself. Let's move on to our second point. Now, when I mean that EA shut down smaller video game companies, I mean companies that were successful back in the day, such as Westwood Studios, Pandemic Studios, and which are the only ones I could really think of out of the top of my head, but another one such as Bullfrog Entertainment that I did some research on. And so for those of you who are not familiar with any of these video game companies, Westwood Studios was well known for the Command & Conquer series, Pandemic Studios was well known for Star Wars Battlefront 2, and which is from 2005, the classic we all know and loved. And Bullfrog Entertainment, well, since I couldn't do as much research on them, let's just say that they're known for the Quake 3 games, in which that was the only thing I could really find. And guess what? When EA bought out these three companies, it was a major disaster and destroyed them by storm. Heck, I only know that some of their employees from Westwood Studios just had to leave to make a new company called Petroglyph Games. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'll put it on screen. But basically, all I could really get out of their company is that they are well known for Star Wars Empire at War. I can tell you one thing, that when I was a kid growing up with video games, I used to always know who Westwood Studios was. And the reason why EA screwed up on the company after buying it was, one, because of Command & Conquer Renegade. And it wasn't meeting the high expectations it needed to be a popular game and a great game. And when Command & Conquer 4 came around, it was just even worse, because first of all, you had to have a good internet connection to play the game. Second of all, you couldn't have unlimited troops like you would in the old Command & Conquer games. And third of all, it became completely different from all the other Command & Conquer games just by changing up the entire gameplay, which is just an example I decided to, bring up. But anyhow, moving to our third point. Now, I know, a lot of developers always come up with new ideas for the video games they want to create. We have games such as Cuphead, Overwatch, Monster Hunter World, and the list of new ideas just go on. Whereas with EA, on the other hand, they are horrified by the word quote-unquote creativity, and just decide, you know what, we'll just stick with the same game that we'll just continue to create for DLC, so that our players will get sick and tired of it. And that's what EA is, and basically they just can't come up with any ideas and just use the same game over and over and over again, until people just, get tired of it and just say, oh, well, this is not what we were looking for or expecting. Or something like, sorry EA, but we didn't need this unnecessary DLC. And well, they've done it with GoldenEye, they've done it with The Sims. And what they did with GoldenEye wasn't even based off the movie. It was about some guy with an actual golden eye. And well, the rest of that didn't even make no sense with the characters, so it pretty much screwed up. Oh, and one fun fact about EA's Rogue Agent, GoldenEye Rogue Agent. The worst part about that is that they actually stole that license game from Rare, the same people who made Banjo-Kazooie and Perfect Dark. And they just used that game from Rare Studios so that they could never use it and end it in the process of an uninspired shooter game. Now that's just really sad, EA. Rare actually worked so hard. The company that worked really hard on this game, you don't even know how much work they put into these GoldenEye games. GoldenEye is supposed to be based off a movie, not off of something you just came up with out of the top of your heads. Now, as for The Sims, I'm not really able to explain it too much in detail, but what happened is that they released a DLC for that game later on, a year after the game was released, when yet they could have just put everything all bundled in one so that people wouldn't have to waste their time on buying that with actual microtransaction money, which we're going to be going into on our fourth point. Oh boy, when I think of microtransactions, I think of this. Now, if you're still a fan of EA, Electronic Arts, I want you to pause this video and just look at this. Now, do you see anything suspicious? Jackpot, kids! EA's version of Star Wars Battlefront says if you want to get these crystals, you can't just get them just by completing a quest or anything. You have to buy them with real money! Yay! Money, 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 money! I mean, come on, let's just face it. This has inspired many companies such as Activision and Blizzard Entertainment to do the same. I am sick and tired of microtransactions in video games. Now, it's fine if you have to use microtransactions in real life, if you had to, like, pay for your loans and whatnot, but when it comes to video games having it, it's a major, major problem. Like, let's just say, for example, you saw a trailer for pizza, and it had all those toppings on there. If you actually could find out if it was unacceptable for pizza, well, you get it, and you pre-order it, and the pre-order exclusive would be that topping, and the next two toppings you'd have to buy with real money. Now, isn't that just really sad? You don't get any toppings on the pizza once you get it. And why accept it for video games, you might ask yourselves? Now, according to the website ExtremeTech.com, they say that EA believes, quote-unquote, live services that include optional digital monetization when done right provide a very important element of choice that can extend and enhance the experience in our games. Now, from what I could summarize from what they actually have said, or have believed to have said, is they're talking like loot boxes and paying for a certain hero that you want to play as. Now, when I was a kid growing up with video games, never in my life have I ever had to pay for certain items in a game with real money. I mean, yeah, it would be like in-game money like I would earn if I was doing like a mission or a quest, but not with real actual money in my hand. And that's the biggest major problem with EA. All they're wanting you to do, like let's just say if you're like an 8-year-old wanting something in a game, then you would be stealing your mom or dad's credit card to use that to your advantage to buying that certain character or item you just really wanted to have to continue your experience with the game. And this is one of the main reasons why Command & Conquer Generals 2 had its cancellation before release. And that reason why was because of microtransactions. This disgusted a lot of the fans to the franchise Command & Conquer, which made EA to have its major set fallback to ending to that Command & Conquer game and never seen the light of day. So, great job EA for destroying a franchise. Because now we're getting to our last point, which is my words, opinions, thoughts, and conclusion. My thoughts on EA is, well, if there's one thing I can get out of this company, it would have to be the microtransactions. And now I'm sure if we were all to boycott EA, I'm sure that the idea of it, in terms of it, would not work as much as you would if it was with gold memberships for Xbox Live. My opinion on EA is that if they would just at least just come up with new ideas on video games, I'm sure they wouldn't be buying out as many smaller companies like they did before in the past. My conclusion on EA is that they are probably one of the worst American video game companies in America, and that they are despicable. Now, I know that they're well known for the sports games they develop, and that's fine, they can keep it up if they want to, and I'm sure this company doesn't care about what others say about them, because all they really care about is that money. But anyhow, that wraps up the whole video. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, you can make sure to subscribe, because I'll be making more content within the meantime. This is Soul Phantom rolling out. Adios.